So the next couple of weeks, in my opinion, are really good weeks to be a saddle bronc rider in the PRCA. George Veater is joining us. The Veater Financial Group Bronc match is going to take place this weekend. And right after that, on to Miles City for the world famous bucking horse sale, big rodeo in Redding, California. There's a lot happening if you're a saddle bronc rider. George, you've got a special thing that you're about to do at your ranch. It isn't the biggest venue in pro rodeo, but it's darn sure a big time bronc match. Welcome. Why are you doing this, George?
It's just kind of an extension of my love for this sport. And I rode broncs for years and years and been involved in rodeo since I was a little kid. And then because of our arena and our ability to put on events here, we've been doing things for my financial practice clients for years, putting on rodeos and special events. And then in 2020, we decided to help Fresno State out by doing a bronc match. It was unsanctioned that year, but we added 25,000. We got the best bronc riders in the world here. Reno Rosser came down, helped me out, have the appropriate horses, and we put it together in 30 days, and it was just a special thing. And then the decision to continue to build on it from there sprung out of the success of that very first rodeo.
And the interesting thing about it, you mentioned putting it on in 2020. I seem to remember the world going to hell in 2020. And somehow or another, you were still able to put this whole thing together right in the middle of the COVID year.
Yeah. We had to be careful with advertising, of course, the political environment. Both of the colleges that we support with practice, Cal Poly and Fresno State, weren't able to have functions on their facilities. So being on private property, we had the opportunity to put on an event like that to benefit Fresno State. We donated the proceeds to them of whatever ticket sales we had. And it was just the Cowboys couldn't have been more appreciative because they were looking for places to go at that time, didn't have a lot of opportunities. So we had an outpouring of love and support and encouragement from the best bronc riders that came here. Wade Sundell won that first show, and it was awesome, and we just wanted to keep building on it.
Yeah, I'm looking at ProRodeo.com. There's a really good story about what George is doing this weekend. On Saturday, the event will welcome 30 cowboys to Veater Ranch for its fourth installment. The event hopes to maintain a unique atmosphere focused on exposing new fans to the sport. I want to stop right there, George. Talk about that opportunity a little bit.
Yeah, my feeling is that this Western way of life that rodeo exemplifies is what America needs a lot more of. Honor, commitment, toughness, taking care of your neighbor, taking care of the land, taking care of animals, exhibiting courage. All the stuff that rodeo exemplifies is what we get to see at these events. So for me to be able to bring that into my backyard in my own community is one of the really fun pleasures of my life. But I want more people that are not following rodeo now to have this experience in a way that hooks them into how great this is. So I just want to be a little part of what is building that momentum.
Yeah. A year ago, Dawson Hay made an 88.5-point ride in the sudden death round, won $12,800. So the guys have got all kinds of reason to come. There are thousands of reasons literally on a check when it's all said and done for the guys to show up.
Yeah. We add 50,000 to the event.
Wow.
We have some sponsors now that we're really grateful for, but I started doing that on my own to get the thing rolling. And we knew we wanted to be the richest one-day rodeo in California. And that was the goal up front. I don't know if we still are. I believe we are, as far as the ability to come here for one day and get the size paycheck that you can get and make a substantial difference for these guys in the standings and their momentum towards the finals. The year before Dawson won, Stetson Wright won, and the amount that he won here was what allowed him to win the Saddle Bronc Riding Championship that year. Yeah. So that makes you feel really good that you're helping these guys with their important goals.
You're basically, this is at your home, right, George? I mean, it's on your ranch. You've got I mentioned when we started, if you think of, grandstands with 5,000 or 10,000 people in it, that's maybe not what you've got, but my understanding, and I've never been there. I want to come someday, George. My understanding is that that's kind of what you want, is that intimate setting right there at the house, basically.
Yeah, we want it to be exclusive. We want them to have an experience that is kind of tied to the roots of this sport. You know, back when rodeo started, it was on ranches and somebody hosted it and they set something up, and then all the best cowboys from ranches nearby came to test their mettle with the original rodeo events, saddle bronc riding being the keynote. We feel like this is a bit of a throwback to that, where this is my backyard. This is my cattle and horse ranch.
Yeah.
When people drive off of Highway 41, which is the route into South Yosemite, they come up a half mile to get to the arena area, and you're going to go up almost 1,000 feet and a half mile into a valley, and you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere in the Sierras. And so it's a setting that I've rodeoed for years and years, and it's a setting like I've never seen other places. So we want to preserve that instead of going to a community event to host it.
You won the California Circuit title and qualified for what was then the Ram National Circuit Finals rodeo. It would have still been in Pocatello back in 2001. And folks, the first time I ever met George Veater, I was announcing a rodeo someplace, and he was 50-something years old and still spurring a saddle bronc horse. You really are passionate about this sport, George. Talk about that background and that history and how much saddle bronc riding means to you.
Well, I started when I was in high school as a senior. I started getting on saddle broncs. I've been riding calves and steers, then bulls up until that point, but I always thought that event was incredible. I grew up on a ranch that we really didn't have the means. Like, I had to borrow my first bronc saddle from John Growney, actually, and just get on people's outlaw horses to try to figure this sport out. So I didn't have what we provide now for people coming up, but I had such a passion for it. I wasn't worried about the risk of the way that I was getting practice or trying to learn this at all. And so anyway, I had some success in high school, got a scholarship to go to college to rodeo, but it was always something I would pick up and put down and pick up and put down. I would rodeo for a year and then focus on business and other goals, but then it wouldn't leave me alone, and I'd practice up and go seek out another title. So over the years, real briefly, I did win the PRCA circuit title. I've won the amateur California title when I was 52, the CCPRA. I won the World Senior Pro Rodeo twice and the Canadian Senior Pro Rodeo twice. And I would just not rodeo for 3 years or 4, and then I would just practice up and put my whole heart into it and do it again. And I've just been repeating that cycle kind of my whole life. So it's kind of magical for me that I could have that much good experience over so many years, but also have a phenomenal career in finance that I have and be able to run cattle and ranch.
Yeah. Reno Rosser's been a big part of this, hasn't he?
Yep. Yeah, I've known Reno forever and was very close with his father, Cotton. And so I know that whole family. Of course, Reno was riding saddle broncs when I was riding saddle broncs in the PRCA more. And so I've known him since, for going on 30 years.
George Veater is with us. This weekend, the best of the best saddle bronc riding in Coarsegold, California. I was just glancing at the day sheet, and it is a stacked field of guys. Everybody is going to be there on Saturday at George's place in Coarsegold. And George, let me ask you just about where you go from here. I mean, how do you continue to grow this thing and make it bigger and better? You know, I talk to a lot of rodeo committees. You're kind of a committee of one, I think. How do you continue to make this thing even bigger and better?
Well, thank you, Steve. Actually, you know, I'm the keeper of the vision, but I have a wonderful support system. So I have my wife that pours her heart into this thing and has built the systems to make this really happen. So I show up the week of the rodeo and do everything that I can, but all the prep work is done by her. And then my close association with Reno, I have the 2 sponsored athletes, Dawson and Lefty, that help a lot, you know, as far as being the liaison into the cowboy community, make sure we get the people and the horses that we need here. I've got a wonderful staff that helps facilitate that from my wealth management. So I'm just the representative of a very dynamic team. But we do need to move more into a committee setting, and we just need to build more infrastructure. This year, we built some 2-story VIP seating to accommodate some of our sponsors. And we widened our road, and we put in twice as many pins, back pins, because we were going to, we needed to invite more horses this year. So every year we want people to come here, and something's bigger, better. We just want to build it out to accommodate more people and make it bigger.
Tell me about the format before I let you go, George.
Yep.
This is a long round, short round.
Yeah.
Do you call it the sudden death round? Am I remembering that right? How do you tell me about that?
Yeah, very good. So it's a unique setting. So we have 5 long round sets. We call them flights. And so we'll buck 5 horses, and the winner of that flight or that set advances to the short round. And then after we have bucked all 5 flights, now we've got our final sudden death performers, and then they draw their horses, which obviously we've left the juiciest 5 horses back there for the short round. And so they draw every time they win a stage, and then the crowd knows who they're going to be getting on. They can be making their game plan. And then we go right into the short round. And so it's incredible. The anticipation builds, and then that final 5 is fantastic. It's like the best of an NFR round.
How much fun is it for you as a guy who has been a saddle bronc rider, who loves the saddle bronc riding business, to have Lefty Holman, Dawson Hay, Zeke Thurston, Statler Wright, Stetson's a former champion. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up, even though he's not going to be competing. That awesome list of guys: Brody Kress, Wyatt Casper, Cade Bruno, all at your house for a day or 2 or 3.
Yeah, no, it's super fun. And you've been around the rodeo community like I have, Steve. And people that aren't affiliated with our sport don't understand how down to earth everybody is, and how willing to help everybody is. And you meet these guys. I started being around them when we did our first event, and every time I see them, it's like they're my best friends. So it definitely is a quick built community. And so now getting to see them come back with a few new guys that have come up every year, it's just like a family reunion thing now. It's just so fun.
You will see on a set of chaps or on the back of a shirt from Dawson or Lefty that logo that George is wearing. Now you understand what that logo is, and I know that the Cowboy Channel is going to be televising, and it should just be a great Saturday for you. George, thank you for your time. I know you're swamped. Good luck this weekend. I hope everything just goes great.
Thank you. This has been fun for us. Thank you, Steve.
George Veater joining us, the best of the best saddle bronc riding match this weekend in Coarsegold, California.